Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Experts. My name is Jay Vix and represent Meet the Experts as well as our software that sponsors and powers the entire podcast platform, or as we like to call it, the anti-podcast Journey Builder. So you can learn more at getjourneybuilder.com. This is our 102nd episode. Yes, I probably don't even need to say what number I'm on anymore, because once you've passed 100, you've done quite a bit. So we'll just say it's another episode. Anyway, what is Meet the Experts? What are you doing here? Well, Meet the Experts is a pretty cool concept, if I can pat myself on the back, although I really didn't come up with it. There was an entire book written about it before I knew. And it's a cool concept where we interview business owners, thought leaders, experts in their field, people that are doing cool things, have cool websites, products, services, etc. And we just give them a platform to share what they do with the world, right? So we ask them some questions, do a quick interview, 30 minutes. We give them the interview totally free. So if you need video content in your business, the way we like to say it is we'll give you about a year's worth of video content just in a 30-minute interview. And truly, if you chop these up into good sound bites, you can get a year's worth of social content out of it. Then you should be a guest. So stick around to the end. I will tell you how you can be a guest on a future episode of Meet the Experts. With that being said, today I have Dr. Shelby Kretz with me. She's going to be up here on the screen in just a minute. She is the creator of Little Justice Leaders, which is an organization that provides social justice education resources for educators and families. Shelby earned her Ph.D. in education from UCLA, and her research explores social justice education at the elementary school level. I'm like I can't wait to learn more about Little Justice Leaders. It's like no other guest. She's like no other guest I've had, or this topic hasn't come up yet on Meet the Experts. So this is going to be a fun one. So without further ado, Dr. Shelby Kretz, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you, Jay?
I can't complain too much. It's a nice day outside on a Tuesday, and I'm excited for another Meet the Experts recording. So now, are you on the West Coast?
I'm not. I live in Ohio right now.
You're in Ohio. Okay. So you just went to UCLA, but you're in Ohio.
Yes,
all right, cool.
I went to UCLA, but I'm back in Ohio where I'm from now.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I was going to say only because it would be morning time if you were on the West Coast, but you're not. So why don't you just take a minute and quick overview, tell us a little bit more about who you are and kind of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Shelby. I am an educator. So that's, what I do for work and what I love to do. And I am also the founder and creator of Little Justice Leaders, where we work on social justice education resources.
That is cool. All right. Well, then let's talk about that. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Little Justice Leaders. What does this group really do? What does it do? And who do you help?
Yes, great question. So we help parents and teachers of elementary school kids who want to talk to their kids and their students about big topics of social justice, but maybe want some support or extra resources to guide how to make those conversations engaging and age appropriate for, kinder through 5th and 6th graders.
Very cool. That is awesome. I would imagine that there's not a lot of organizations like this, like that are teaching this, right? Am I right with that?
You are right. There aren't a ton of folks out there doing this work. There are a lot of educators working on this work in silos. It's something that I think we need to bring a lot of folks together. And there are some organizations who offer resources, but most of those we see at the middle and high school and even a college level. And there aren't as many folks working on it at the elementary school level.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good, but elementary school is the age to start. That's when they're just, you can kind of teach them about what's going on in the world.
Exactly.
So obviously now wait, how, just, I don't think I asked you this. How long have you been doing this, Little Justice Leaders? How long has it been around?
So it's been almost 6 years now.
6 years. Well, you don't last 6 years doing something if you're not helping somebody, making a difference, right? Changing someone's life, views, outlook, perspective. So has anyone come to you and shared some type of a testimonial or a win or something that you've said or done, or how Little Justice Leaders has helped them? And can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm lucky in this kind of line of work, we get to hear these stories all the time. So because people are, excited to share about what their kids are learning and what they're learning. And, maybe the biggest kind of testimonial I would say that we receive on a regular basis is actually from adults saying, this would have changed the course of my life if I had this when I was a kid. Like, I wish I could have had this. It would have allowed me to embrace my identity. It would have allowed me to kind of see the world differently, or find what I was passionate and excited about in the world different sooner. And so that's kind of a big one. But we also, of course, hear stories about our students. So, for example, I had a third grade teacher who had a little girl in her classroom, and this girl had a non-binary sibling. And they got our learning kit about pronouns and got to explore and learn about different pronouns, why we use them, and why it matters. And for the first time, this little girl saw her sibling represented in the curriculum. And she told the teacher she had never seen her sibling represented in any media in the classroom that she's ever been in. And she never had classmates who had the language to talk about her sibling who was using they, them pronouns. And so she shared with the teacher just how meaningful it was to be able to speak with her classmates and have her classmates really understand the experience of her sibling and feel like her family was represented in the classroom.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And that's a lot. I mean, I have a second grader and she's just learning how to even use pronouns at all, let
Right.
alone even what any of it means. She gets them wrong
Mm-hmm.
often, so
Right.
that's a pretty impressive, powerful testimonial, for when you think about from a third grader, especially being a dad of a second grader.
Right.
All right. So let's talk a little bit. I know Ph.D. in education, UCLA, but like, to get to be the founder of this organization, I call this earned it, learned it, improved your authority. Are there any titles or certifications? Or maybe it's just your PhD, maybe it's just a PhD. I mean, that's a big deal in itself, but like, tell me a little bit about your education and kind of how you kind of got to this point with Little Justice Leaders.
Absolutely. So it's been definitely a range of experiences. I did my undergraduate degree in psychology, where I focused on childhood mental health. And after that, I went into after school programming. So I ran an after school program for middle school girls. In that program, I was writing curriculum and also delivering the curriculum. So I was working directly with the girls and kind of getting immediate feedback on their learning experiences with the program. I moved into a school counseling role where I was working in a middle school, in middle schools in South and East LA. And after that is when I moved into my graduate program, where I earned my PhD in education from UCLA. And there I specialize in urban schooling. So my research looked at juvenile justice system and the way it was connected to the education system. And ultimately, my research landed on how elementary school teachers are bringing topics of social justice into their classroom. So I've had the opportunity to do some original research on this topic, learn directly from the teachers who are already doing this work across the country, and also, of course, learn about and engage with, researchers who are looking at social justice education across the, K through college education span, and learn about what's going on out there, what folks are doing and how it's working. So kind of all of those experiences together have helped me to start and create this. But of course, this is a super collaborative project. I'm not doing these kits on my own. We work with people with lived experience and activists on every single learning kit that we create to make sure that it's rooted in reality and accurate and representing multiple perspectives.
You should like get busy at some point. Sounds like you're very bored in life, that you don't have a lot going on.
There's not much going on over here.
Not much going on. You are like everywhere. So now with the work you're doing at Little Justice Leaders, you said it was collaborative, and I wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit more. I want to go a little deeper into that. Are you do you do anything yourself as far as like speaking to different groups around the country, or doing like, does it require you to travel at all, or do anything? What kind of outreach do you have?
Yeah, so I do some travel. I do a lot more kind of virtual
Mm.
speaking, podcasting as well, just to kind of spread the message and get it out there. I was just in Philadelphia last week, actually presenting on my research on early childhood social justice education. So a little bit of travel, but more virtual opportunities to connect with teachers, parents, school leaders on how to engage their classrooms. I also work very closely with a lot of activists. So every single month, we're working with a new group of activists who have lived experience on the topic we're covering. And again, that's virtual, not so much in person, but connecting to kind of co-create the curriculum. So it's always very much a collaborative process.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. All right. This is the part where I'm going to kind of change gears a little bit, and
Okay.
maybe not. We'll see. Because I'm going to let you answer. It's your question, your
Mm-hmm.
interview. But if I just said, Shelby, tell me something that you're truly thankful for, and it can be personal, it can be professional. How do you answer that question?
Great question. One thing that I'm feeling thankful for right now, especially as we're having this conversation, is the community that we have built with Little Justice Leaders. Like I said, it's super collaborative creating the products that we offer, but also just the folks who reach out and share their stories and are out there every day engaging in this work, even though it's hard. Like you said, you have a second grader, it's pretty difficult at that age to have these sometimes uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes we don't know if it's age appropriate, if we're approaching it in the right way, if we're going to say the wrong thing. So there's all these fears. And that's what came up in my research as well. There's all these fears. And yet these folks are out here doing it, fumbling through it, and being willing and open to share those stories and come back and talk about it and connect with other folks who are doing it. So I think that's kind of rare to find, like a community that is so open, so willing to learn from each other, so generous with each other, especially at a time when there is a lot of divisiveness in this country around political issues. I found our community to just be so supportive, so open, so willing to learn, so willing to teach each other. And I'm truly grateful for that.
That's a great answer. I love that. Yeah, as a dad, I stick my head in the sand when it comes to this topic at this point, and
Many
pretend,
people do.
yeah, just pretend that there's nothing going on, and then hope
Mm-hmm.
that when she asks me, at least I'll have the understanding and education to give her kind of the response that I would hope would be, open and accepted by everyone,
Yeah.
or the majority. But yeah, I mean, these are tough topics for kids. So I would imagine it's a tough topic for adults to talk about, right? So
Yes.
to bring that in a way that is age appropriate, age specific, especially at the elementary school level, like kudos to you. That's it's not like I've kidded with you a couple of times. I mean, this is not easy work, what you're doing. This is deep, heavy, real life, down and dirty work. So
It's true. It's true.
all right. In that down and dirty day-to-day work that you're doing, and this will be the last question I have for you, and I told you this was going to fly by, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that people ask you all sorts of questions. They might be, very supportive. They might be antagonistic, but no doubt you're getting a lot of questions, probably over and over again. Give me just one or two common questions that people ask, and then kind of on video, how do you respond?
Yeah. Great question. So we get a lot of questions, some very antagonistic, which kind of honestly I understand, because we're talking about kids, and it is very important to make sure we approach this in a way that is going to foster critical thinking, creative problem solving, rather than everyone's biggest fear, which is indoctrination and telling them what to think. So I don't blame the folks who come in with the antagonistic question. I would say the most frequently asked question I get is, why should I talk to my elementary school kids about social justice, right? Like, the assumption is maybe they don't know about it already. Talking about it might put bias in their head that they didn't already have. Like, what if I say the wrong thing and then I've, messed up their way of thinking about it forever? So why should I do this? And my response to this is, we all want to let kids be kids. But the reality is our kids are being exposed to social justice, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not. So whether it's online, from other kids at school who have access online that if your kid doesn't have access to the internet, whether it's in the neighborhood, from older siblings, cousins, people are talking about these topics. So think about what you see on your social media feed when you scroll through it, and assume that your kids are seeing the same thing. So if you aren't helping them navigate this, kids can develop fear, confusion, bias, and ultimately even hatred. So when you do talk to kids about this, they feel comfortable asking you questions about it, which is what you want for your kids. They learn to value diversity. They learn to ask questions. They learn to speak up for what's right. And again, they learn that you're a safe space to go to, and they can get accurate, age-appropriate information. You can help guide any misunderstandings that they may already be developing. Research shows that kids by the age of 3 or 4 are already developing racial and gender biases. If you think your kid, doesn't know about these things yet, they may not consciously be thinking about them, but they're internalizing our culture and our society and the biases that come with that. So if you're not making a conscious effort to, kind of work against that, then there's a good chance your kid might be taking in messages that you don't want them to be taking in. So that's what I always will tell folks, to encourage them to start fumbling through these conversations, or at least, like you said, preparing yourself to answer when the questions do come. Because when the questions do come, the worst thing you can do is shut them down, change the subject,
right,
tell them to ask somebody else, because that sends the message that you are not a safe person to talk to about this. Whereas at least if you prepare yourself, which half of this work is preparing ourselves, educating ourselves, be ready and be prepared to know what to say when your kid does start asking, because there's a good chance that they will.
Part of that totally and utterly terrified me. And part of that totally and utterly rewarded, relaxed me, made me, it put me in a calmer space. It's tough. It's tough to talk about, it's tough to just even have this not tough to talk to you, but it's tough to even the stuff that you're answering, the stuff that you're saying, just thinking about it from my perspective is wow. Yeah, of course, I always want to be the safe space for my daughter to talk to me about, or at least maybe there's some issues that she can go to my wife with. But
right.
there's things that I always want her to be comfortable with, and I think this episode kind of, not every episode kind of hits me in the feels and in the head, as much as this one really is right now. So I've got a lot to think about, but that's another rewarding reason why I do Meet the Experts and why I have guests on all the time, is because my perspective changes. It's like I do this to give you video content, but every time I learn something that I'm like, wow, I didn't think about that before. So Shelby, I just realized I did not have your banner rolling because I was so enthralled in what you were saying. So let's get that banner up here real quick. So Little Justice Leaders is helping parents and teachers teach their elementary kids about social justice. So littlejusticeleaders.com is the website if you want to learn more. And on Instagram at Little Justice Leaders. Do you have curriculum at the website? Do you have something that parents could, what kind of resources are on the website?
Yeah, so our kind of primary product is the monthly subscription box. So if you're ready to jump all the way in, you can sign up for that on the website, but you'll also find our e-newsletter sign up form. It's going to pop up, and you can also just find it at the bottom. And that's the best place if you're kind of looking to dip your toes in and you want to get some free resources. We send tons of information every week that kind of helps you, either prepare to have these conversations if you haven't started yet, or deepen and continue on these conversations conversations. Same with our Instagram. We try to give a lot of information free. We never want anyone to feel like they have to pay in order to do this work. You don't have to pay to do this work. We all hopefully can start doing this work now. So we try to give out lots and lots of free resources on our Instagram and especially on our email list. So that would be the best place to start.
Fantastic. Dr. Shelby Kretz, Little Justice Leaders, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It was really eye-opening for me as a parent, not in a bad way, totally in a good way. But definitely something that I had been terrified to think about, and now it's brought it to the surface with me. So I appreciate you. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you, and thanks for being a guest.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, that was mind blowing. And now I've got a million things running through my head. But you know what? I'll probably go visit Little Justice Leaders at the website or on the Instagram, and I'll start poking around and seeing what I might be able to use with my child. Anyway, that was really good, and I appreciate Dr. Shelby for coming on today. If I told you, if you stuck around till the end of the episode, I would tell you how you can be a guest on a future episode of Meet the Experts. And here it is. www.meettheexpertspodcast.com. Yes, I call it a podcast, even though we lovingly refer to it as the anti-podcast, because we don't really push this out to a lot of people. We do it to give video content away. It's kind of a free resource. And but if you want to be a guest and talk about your products, your services, what makes you awesome, if you've got a topic that might make me shiver in fear of what of something I'm going to face during parenting, you go ahead and fill out that form and come mess with me for 20 minutes. It's great. But anyway, I would love to have you on a future episode. We've done over 100 of these, like I mentioned at the beginning, and we look forward to doing hundreds more. So we couldn't do this without our software called Journey Builder. If you want an all-in-one marketing software, full CRM, all your website and email and all the things that you're doing all under one roof, go to getjourneybuilder.com, getjourneybuilder.com, and just book a demo with me. I'll show and tell and take you for a test drive. All right, that's it for this episode, and we'll see you on another episode really, really soon. Take care, everybody.